Hi, I'm Bruce Braden, editor of You Will Say I'm No Christian, the Thomas Jefferson correspondence on religion, morals, and values. It's his correspondence with John Adams. And when I was about 29 years old, going on 30, I was at IUPUI and taking a course in social work. But we had to read a novel at the time and apply it to a psychologist or psychology theory. And the book I chose at the time was Demian by Herman Hesse. And as it turned out, Hesse wrote Demian at the time he was undergoing Jungian therapy. And so you see a lot of Jung's ideas in the book: shadow, anima, animus, the male and female components of men and women. And so anyway, I'd like to read to you just some excerpts from the book. And again, it's a book that spoke to me back then. Herman Hesse's Demian. I wanted only to try to live in accord with the promptings which came from my true self. Why was that so very difficult? Prologue. I cannot tell my story without reaching a long way back. If it were very possible, I would reach back further still into the very first years of my childhood and beyond them into distant ancestral past. Novelists, when they write novels, tend to take an almost godlike attitude toward their subject, pretending to a total comprehension of the story, a man's life, which they can therefore recount as God himself might, nothing standing between them and the naked truth. The entire story, meaningful in every detail. I am as little able to do this as the novelist is, even though my story is more important to me than any novelist is to him. For this is my story. It is the story of a man, not of an invented or possible or idealized or otherwise absent figure, but of a unique being of flesh and blood. Yet, what a real living human being is made of seems to be less understood today than at any time before, and men, each one of whom represents a unique and valuable experiment on the part of nature, are therefore shot wholesale nowadays. If we were not something more than unique human beings, if each one of us could really be done away with once and for all by a single bullet, storytelling would lose all purpose. But every man is more than just himself. He also represents the unique, the very special, and always significant and remarkable point at which the world's phenomena intersect. Only once in this way and never again. That is why every man's story is important, eternal, sacred. That is why every man, as long as he lives and fulfills the will of nature, is wondrous and worthy of every consideration. In each individual, the spirit has become flesh. In each man, the creation suffers. Within each one, a Redeemer is nailed to the cross. Few people nowadays know what man is. Many sense this ignorance and die the more easily because of it, the same way that I will die more easily once I have completed this story. I do not consider myself less ignorant than most people. I have been and still am a seeker, but I have ceased to question stars and books. I have begun to listen to the teachings my blood whispers to me. My story is not a pleasant one. It is neither sweet nor harmonious, as invented stories are. It has the taste of nonsense and chaos, of madness and dreams, like the lives of all men who stop deceiving themselves. Each man's life represents a road toward himself. an attempt at such a road, the intimation of a path. No man has ever been entirely and completely himself, yet each one strives to become that. One in an awkward, the other in a more intelligent way, each as best he can. Each man carries the vestiges of his birth, the slime and eggshells of his primeval past with him to the end of his days. Some never become human, remaining frog, lizard, ant. Some are human above the waist and fish below. Each represents a gamble on the part of nature and creation of the human. We all share the same origin, our mothers. All of us come in at the same door. But each of us experiments of the depths, strives towards his own destiny. We can't understand one another, but each of us is able to interpret himself to himself.